Hang in there, it is!
Smylie Kaufman for 61. Wow.
I'm Smylie Kaufman, and this is The Smylie Show.
Welcome back to another episode of The Smylie Show at a major. We're here in person again. Cannot beat it. Live from the PGA Championship, Smylie. We are live-ish from Malone's here in Louisville. This is amazing. You got the liquor bottles back here. This is the bar. We're gonna have a nice little steak for dinner once we wrap this episode. They're treating us right here at Malone's.
Yeah, I mean, this is unbelievable. This is the setup is as good as it gets. Shout out to Malone's and the good people here in Louisville. As soon as I drove into town, I got really thirsty immediately, but we got a little old fashions going here, so
got some nice little Malone's old fashioned.
Not quite hardos, like we're not doing it quite neat yet. This is the first cocktail, so bear with us.
We will get to neat at some point in the evening, just not right now, because we'd like to do a coherent PGA Championship preview show. We also have to say a big thanks to our new friends at T-Mobile, who we're going to be hanging with all week long at Club Magenta. It's on the 10th hole of Valhalla. SK, give us a little rundown of what they can expect at Club Magenta all week long with you hosting.
Yeah, I'll be spilling the tea, if you will. Especially tomorrow. Exciting lineup all week, but tomorrow's going to be great with Max Hulme, Wyndham Clark, and Tony Finau. So if you are on property, please come by. It's going to be a lot of fun. Talking to the games, it's three of the best players in the game, getting their take on Valhalla, and then also being in an incredible spot in Club Magenta. It's going to be a really fun week. I'll be there all week hosting, so really excited. Some great people over there at T-Mobile, and look forward to really just getting it started here this week at PGA.
Just getting those magenta vibes rolling.
Magenta vibes.
Great magenta vibes. Cannot wait for it. Everyone can come hang out at Club Magenta.
That's the cool thing.
If you're a T-Mobile customer, you can get more perks. So I'd say just come hang out with us. Come vibe on the Magenta level.
Shout out. We are T-Mobile guys.
Dogs. We're T-Mobile guys.
Yeah.
What do you think about? I was thinking about this on the way down because I haven't washed my 2014 Prius maybe ever. And I was looking at the paint, and I'm thinking about, what do you think about like a fresh coat of magenta paint on that bad boy? Really spice it up.
And all right, so what's the make, model, and year on your?
This is a 2014 Toyota Prius that starts maybe half the time if I'm lucky.
I've seen you try to get this thing started.
It's not pretty.
I do think that you are in a position to go all in on the magenta for the Prius, because I think we could go magenta for the paint, and then maybe slap a couple Smylie Show bumper stickers on there. I think if there's ever a car to go all in on about not caring what it looks like, it's this Prius.
The car has become a bit. I can't go away from it now. I kind of I was talking myself into it in the sense that like Scottie Scheffler may still be driving that like Suburban with 180,000 miles on it.
Yeah.
Like this is my version of that, except I'm not, the best ball striker in the world and making millions of dollars every week.
We probably need to shout out any car company, because I think we are.
Please.
We're in the market
Please.
for some dad minivans, because I think that's the next step from the Prius.
That's right. With a second on the way, I think the Prius is going to get sunset pretty soon here. Although I'll say this too, it made it 8 hours from Durham, which was a delightful trip. I got to say, because we're going to get into the PGA Championship preview, but I just have to tell you, I got to look this up to see exactly where I was. I was looking for a place to get some gas and to get a bite to eat. And so I pulled over for some gas in Moorhead, Kentucky. And I looked across the street and I saw a billboard at a Little Caesars. First of all, it was a drive-through at a Little Caesars. There's a billboard that said, "You've been waiting since 1959.
Yep.
Now open, May 14th. I made it to the grand opening of a Little Caesars today, and I was not going to miss it. I went in there, I got the crazy bread, I got little pizza cupcakes. It's unbelievable.
I don't know if I'm more shocked about you going to Little Caesars, but also I'm a little surprised that they're still opening Little Caesars. Is that almost more shocking?
It came as a shock to me too, although the people in there could not have been nicer. And the way the spin zone I'm doing on that is I wanted to juxtapose, I wanted to do something as far away as possible from the delicious steak that I'm going to have tonight at Malone's as I could. So I did I did Crazy Bread at Little Caesars, and now we're going to dig into a nice steak here tonight once we finish up.
Look at this. We got silverware here anyways. We're ready to rock.
We're ready to eat, and we're ready to kind of dig into this preview. And I think, Smylie, here's a place I want to start because it's been an interesting year in golf. It's been an interesting 2 years in golf. But where we've arrived, I can't remember feeling this excited about a major in a long time, and this is why. You have the number 1 and the number 2 player in the world who are both coming off wins in their last 2 starts, and they're playing in a venue that in the last 3 playings have had electric results at this major. Just really exciting finishes, great leaderboards. I mean, I feel like we're shaping up for a great week.
I think so too. I mean, I've played Valhalla last fall with one of my teammates who's a member out there, Austin Gutzell, who happens to be here tonight. Shout out Austin. So this golf course has produced so much drama over the years in incredible PGA Championships and Ryder Cups. Justin Thomas, when he came on the podcast in his home, when he delightfully said yes when we were looking for a guest, gave us some great insight talking about, you can judge the course all you want. Is it the toughest major golf course that they're going to see over the next decade? Probably not. But has it produced some incredible drama TV results? Yes. 2 playoffs and PGA Championships, one being a one-shot victory by Rory McIlroy. I think this golf course is going to be very tight as far as the leaderboard goes, and maybe as the weekend goes on, the firmness starts to separate, where a guy like Scottie Scheffler, if he's just around the lead, that maybe he can kind of work his way towards the top. But you gotta have to wonder about the dad back coming off of the baby did come a little later. Congrats to Meredith and Scottie, by the way. But that's like my biggest concern is where Scottie's mentally at. Listening to an interview earlier this week with Todd Lewis, I came away with the interview being like, crap, he's going to win again, isn't he?
I have that feeling. I also just realized that I've done the first 5 to 6 minutes of this episode wearing headphones after I said we weren't going to wear headphones.
Yeah.
So
I thought it was like a cool kid on the
like a headphones bit. Yeah, I'm going to take the headphones off now. So wow, now I'm getting a full sense of the ambiance in here. So it really is interesting in terms of thinking about these two, Scottie and Rory, and I think, and even going back to what you're saying about Valhalla, where comparisons have been made in a lot of ways to Quail Hollow, where Rory's coming right off a win of where, okay, we get it. It's not everyone's favorite place in terms of a golf course architecture and layout and things like that, but you can't deny the fact that it produces elite, good winners, and that it's a venue that's built for this level of golf. So let's maybe start a little bit with Rory. And it's a bit of a downer today in the news. We saw that TMZ, I believe, reporting first that Rory's filing for divorce. And I don't want to get into any of the personal ramifications of what's happening there, but here's the kind of question I want to ask you, because I've heard this on a number of occasions, hearing tour pros talk about, hey, some of the best golf I've played in my life was when there was the most stuff going on in the backdrop of my life. And I'm wondering, Rory coming in, I'm sure he didn't want this to drop when it did, but, the paperwork was filed and he had to know it was coming at some point. What do you think about his mindset coming into this week?
Well, I just kind of go back in a timeline of conversations or just noticing things about Rory and how he's been preparing, or just, I feel like every week has something that is newsworthy, but this was unexpected, and it's no place for us to kind of talk about his personal life. But going back to San Antonio, I just noticed how into his golf he was. Just going to see Butch Harmon, and it seemed like there was a dedication to the golf, and that he was so focused on getting his game back and getting back into the winner's circle. So it wasn't surprising to me to see him go on this run, because it seems like he's got, his life in order. I don't know if this is the best way to say it, but his golf side of his life, I feel like he's as focused as he ever has been. And he's playing free. His technique is fantastic right now, as good as it's ever looked. Driving it well, it's a perfect golf course fit.
Putting it well?
Putting it really well. That was his big issue last year, and he's been top 25 on the tour since he's kind of fixed those putting issues this year. So with that being said, it's no place for me to try to comment on where he is in his life and his personal life. But from the golf side, it seems like he's really handling his business and is showing up this week to Valhalla probably with as much confidence that he feels like he can win. And I go back to the Full Swing episode in Netflix when he's like, we got to blow everything up.
Yep.
I think he's showing up this week feeling like, you know what, I can win. And I think anytime a PGA Tour player gets up by 6 or 7 shots in a tournament like he was at Quail Hollow, that's anytime a good player goes back in their minds, they go back to like, what was I doing really well when I was winning a golf tournament by 7 shots and beating last place by 37 shots? That's what he did last week at Quail, and he's going to a place that's familiar to him, and he's already won.
He doesn't have to go that far back in the memory bank to pull on some of those good memories.
Yeah.
I'll also say, we're not TaylorMade affiliated here, but if you can't sell a spider putter right now, find a new line of work. I mean, because between Rory getting hot with the putter and coming into this week in great form on the greens, and Scottie Scheffler, who, you know, it was well documented. Rory made the suggestion for the change of the Genesis. Scottie goes to that putter and he makes everything he's looking at and routes a, 4 wins and 5 starts. Or it was a 3 win and 4 starts. You lose track.
Did you see Jordan Spieth's interview today?
What did Jordan say?
So Jordan, there was a reporter that asked him about Scottie Scheffler and the advice that he would give him about being a dad. And Jordan had a pretty clever response saying, you know what, I think we're done giving Scottie advice in anything because the rest of the field will be upset with me if I give him good advice. I think he'll be able to figure it out. And also he complimented him on how good of a dad he will be, which, again, congrats to him and Scottie on their baby boy, which...
Baby boy,
Sammy Spieth and Bennett, I believe, is the name that I read online.
Bennett Scheffler.
Bennett Scheffler and Sammy Spieth could be quite a duo one day.
And Walker Hulme, maybe.
There you go.
That's. I mean, as we've documented on the spot, I mean, Scottie's rapidly becoming a favorite because of all the amazing human being, dad now. Excited to see him go on that journey, and also the tournament favorite this week at the odds plus 375 right now.
Dude, stop it.
It's just silly. The guy takes off 3 weeks and checks in.
And what are you using? Just so when we're referring to odds in this program.
That's right. There are a lot of different books you can use out there. The one I've chosen to use this week is ESPN Bet because they're like the official on-site odds provider here.
It's PGA showing plus 350 for me on him.
Well, it's moved since we started the episode.
Just crazy, man.
That means something else.
And I don't know if you want to talk about it now, but
Scottie. Yeah, let's dig right into it.
Scottie at plus 350. I don't like the price. I don't think this golf course to me is a perfect Scottie Scheffler fit. I think this is going to be a bunch leaderboard. I think the greens aren't severe. I think a lot of guys are going to be hanging around that wouldn't be hanging around in other majors. I don't think it's going to separate the pack quite as much. There's not a ton of slope on these greens. You have to drive it well. Don't get me wrong. Like if you're not driving it well, there's the run-up areas here are not wide. It's not like a U.S. Open at Pinehurst in which you can run things up onto the green. It's a forced carry type of a golf course. But if you drive it long and you drive it straight, you're going to have an advantage. Which Scottie's going to have that advantage because he drives it well. But there's going to be a whole lot of other guys that drive it long and straight that have good iron games. And if it turns into a putting contest, let's go back to, for instance, the American Express Championship on bent greens. That's a shootout.
Yep.
Scottie Scheffler was not even anywhere near contention in a golf course that seemed to always be a putting contest. So I don't like the price at plus 350 with Scottie. I would stay away. I think you look at other guys this week. And if you're a guy that is just going to ride Scottie to the sunset, by all means, don't let me talk you out of that because I do think he's the best player in the game, and I 100% would not be surprised if he won this golf tournament. I just find value across the board with plenty of other guys.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's well said. I think part of that is because we both use Scottie Scheffler already for one and done. So we
we're looking other ways.
We're looking other ways. We're going to have those picks for you on the other side of an awesome interview coming up with Fat Perez, who I'm looking at right now at the bar. Excited to have him on. But I think, you only have to go back to the Masters, the last major, to kind of contrast the course setup, the nerves, and just even the conditions this week. Like, we're going to get a lot of rain this week. It's going to be softer. It should theoretically be easier greens to hold. And the guys that are, bombers, that's why I like Rory a lot this week, because he's going to hit it a lot further. A lot of guys aren't going to get rollout. Or even Xander has been doing the speed training. I don't know if I like him to win, but I think he's a lock for a top 10 or a top 5. But, looking at the Masters, where there was a ton of wind, it got crispy, it got firm, it got fast. You had guys making mistakes, Ludwig and Colin Morikawa coming down the stretch. And to your point, I mean, the conditions and the way this course is set up should keep a lot more players in the mix this week, and may just be tougher for Scottie to separate, on those grounds alone. So there's another guy who I feel like he's exactly where he needs to be right now, because this is so perfect. This guy is the PGA Championship whisperer. He's got 3 of them. He loves having the chip on his shoulder, loves being the underdog. And here we are rolling into his defense of this PGA Championship. And all everyone wants to talk about is Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy.
Yep.
Like, does it not just feel like the script is going to play out perfectly for Brooks Koepka at 14-1?
It really does feel that way, and I'm kind of sorting through a Justin Ray stat about Brooks Koepka as I sit here and talk to you about him. But coming off of Singapore, I feel like it's just the light bulb of seeing Brooks Koepka in the winner's circle before, in which the 2 majors that he's played the best in, the PGA and the U.S. Open coming up. It just, everybody's like, all right, well, Brooks Koepka's going to be in the top 5 after Thursday. He's going to be there all week and has a chance probably on Sunday to win, if not win. And Justin Ray had a really great stat about Brooks Koepka. And since, since 2014 at the PGA, 63 under par, and that's 27 better than anybody else. That's just crazy to me. And shout out, by the way, Justin Ray is one of the best follows on Twitter. He's everyone that doesn't have an on-staff researcher. He is their researcher. You're a researcher.
Thanks, Justin. You get a producer credit.
So one of the biggest changes about Brooks Koepka that's held me up a little bit about him this year is the change to the mallet putter, which the mallet putter is in right now. The mallet's in, but he made that.
So hot right now.
He made that change, and looking at Live Golf stats, which is now a thing in which we can kind of judge players based on how they're playing. I don't know how accurate the data is. Let's just perceive it as accurate. Putter has been figured out. Had some tough weeks earlier in the year with his putter, and Brooks has always had a very interesting stroke. He lines it up on the toe, has always had a bit of a loop in his stroke, but he's perfected it. A guy that aims right, has a little loop out of the top, but he's a guy that, like Steve Stricker, for instance, he doesn't have a perfect stroke, but he knows how to get the ball started on line. And so Brooks Koepka here at this event, I think this golf course fits a guy that drives it long and straight. Brooks is a guy that does that. Great iron player, really good on the par 3s. These par 3s are going to measure anywhere between that 190 to 240 range. So Brooks, that plays into his hands. Can he play? I think Brooks, this is the one thing I have about Brooks. Majors, he wants them to play hard. He wants there to be separation with the physical aspect of the game and the mental aspect of the game. I think he always has had this great quote about, breaking down major championships and saying you can basically eliminate more than 3/4 of the field. And I don't think it's going to be quite as much of that this week.
That's a good point.
I think it's going to be a little bit more guys that have a chance this week. I look even down the odds board, and I see plenty of value down the board of guys that, let's go back and talk about the guy that we had earlier on this week with Bob May. I think there's storylines at this place of a player that's down the board that you wouldn't ever expect to get hot here at this golf course. I wouldn't be surprised to see David versus Goliath this year in 2024.
It's so interesting, right? Because of this story the last couple of years for this championship has been, when did the PGA Championship become the U.S. Open, right? The Southern Hills setup where single digits won. Last year Oak Hill single digits won. And it just doesn't feel like we're going to get that this week. Now, that doesn't make it bad or wrong, and part of that's just kind of out of your control with conditions. But kind of to your point, and we'll see we're going to discuss some of those long shots on the other side of this interview. Do you want to head to the interview now? Or it seems
No,
like
I
got
just-
one more
point about
Okay.
this PGA Championships and their setup, because I think it's a great conversation to have about the scoring that's kind of developed over the last couple of years and how difficult it's played in some of these events. But let's look at the venue since they've changed to the event in May. This is totally, I know they've booked these things out, it seems like, till 3034, these events. But let's look at some of the ones that have happened. We're talking about Bethpage in May. That was a very U.S. Open setup that had a PGA, and it was a U.S. Open vibe.
Yeah.
But how different did Kiowa play, right? Like that's a venue in which
that was a single-digits winner, right?
You couldn't have that in August. So Kiowa being an event in May was great. Southern Hills was an event that if you had that in August, which they had in prior years, you see their guys, their big shirts, and sweat, just all sweat.
That's a whole other change. I don't know how they did that. I mean, like that just seems ludicrous to play an event in Oklahoma.
And then Oak Hill and Rochester, they had cold weather, they had rain. But that's what you get in the north in May. You can get all these type of weather conditions. So this week in Valhalla, like, the weather forecast, is it going to be similar to 2014 with Rory McIlroy, where it's a little wet, bomb and gouge? Sets kind of up for Rory. That just, to me, I think you might see a little bit of firmness. I'd love to see a little bit of wind to make it challenging and firm this place up. But you still got to drive it good. Aaron Fleener swung by here, caddy of JT Poston.
Just kind of Kentucky blue.
Yeah, and he just kind of basically said how pure the golf course is. The fairways are great, but you just got to be able to hit the greens out there, and if you do, you're going to have good looks.
So we're thrilled now to join, or to have Fat Perez join the show now. Going to have him sit right here, maybe order him a steak and a bourbon or something like that. But before we do that, we got to take care of some business here. And this is kind of a special moment for the show here. This is like our first real live read we've done since we started. So I'm going to slide the official iPad over you. You got that section right there? Fire away, Smylie.
All right.
Give it a shot.
T-Mobile Club Magenta is the place to be at the PGA Championship. Everybody, come hang with me like I told you guys earlier. T-Mobile customers, like we are.
And you can be too.
And stay for the bonus Magenta status, VIP vibes. Get your complimentary cocktail during Magenta Hour.
Magenta Hour sounds.
You can charge your phone. Charge your phone. You've been tweeting too much. You've been posting too many Snapchats, Instagram Reels. I know how the Gen Zs are these days. So keep that phone charged up. And there's going to be some cool T-Mobile swag. We're going to be there all week. I'm excited to watch a bunch of golf, especially where we're stationed on number 10.
Yes, it's going to be awesome.
I've been to Valhalla. I know like kind of where you want to be. 10's a great spot because 13's right there too. That's going to be a very popular spot. So come by, hang out with us at the T-Mobile Club Magenta Lounge.
Magenta. Come vibe with us, Magenta Vibes. Good read. Way to go, big dog.
Yeah.
Look at us.
How about us?
How about us? We did. Who would have thought? Not me. And without further ado, we're going to welcome on Fat Perez. All right, we are back with our previously promised guest. We're so excited to have Nick Stubbe, a.k.a. Fat Perez, a.k.a. Perez, on the show. We got a nice little place setting for you here, so if any moment in time you like a steak or a bourbon, really anything you like, we can make that happen.
Yeah, I want to get these forks to good use, bro.
I mean, they're looking like they're a little too clean for our taste right now, but we can't go any further without pulling the curtain back a little bit and recapping the series of events that led to this interview. Mainly, Smylie, I'll just let you take it from here. Like, talk to me about time zones.
So, it's about a 5.5 hour drive from Birmingham to Louisville. And in planning this, your kind of the out time was going to be somewhere around 6 o'clock. You originally had an 8 p.m. flight.
Yep.
Eventually, you moved it back. So it wasn't as big of a deal. But if it was, we'd had a big time problem because I'm driving up, talking to a buddy, and telling him I'm going to be here at about give or take 4:20, and I have an hour 20 left in the drive. And he's in Louisville. He's like, dude, you're going to be pretty late. And I was like, what are you talking about? It's 3 o'clock. He's like, what are you talking about? No, it's 4. I was like, okay. Apparently Louisville is in the Eastern time zone.
That's right.
So watch out for that for anybody that's playing the PGA Championship this week, because you can get tricked up on it. Even though Birmingham and Louisville, it's directly north. I don't get it. Why?
It's also it's a real fumble from the GPS app industry that they should
Well said.
It knows where you're going. That's literally what it's doing. It should show you like the time of arrival should be local time.
That is a great point.
I just drove. I was here for Derby weekend, and I drove down to meet my boys to film in Nashville last week. I had the opposite problem, which turned into not a problem. It's like, oh guys, I'm gonna miss dinner at 7:30 ETA, and then somewhere along the line, I just look at the GPS. It's like, oh shit, no, I'm getting 6:30. Like, oh, here we go. I just got an hour back. This is awesome. But like I was like, why would that be? Surely that thing should factor that in. That's ridiculous.
Wait, so coming back here 2 weeks after the Derby, is there like a little bit of Sunday scaries going on right now coming back to Louisville?
A little bit, yeah. No, this has been an interesting run. I haven't really been. I was in home for me now is Jupiter, Florida, and I was there for about 36 hours between basically Thursday ahead of Derby to which will be Thursday of this week. So yeah, it's been a bit of a lot of different mattresses, a lot of different cocktails. Yes, to answer your question, very much so. This is, I'm trying to go to different places than I did Derby week, so I don't get like flashbacks.
We will say like not all bad on the road trip front, because we actually opened this episode with the recap of my Little Caesar stop, and then you and I just kind of bonded a little bit over that.
You were describing like a little like pie that they had. I was like, no, bro, I know what you're talking about. Very familiar with what they have.
How good is the crazy bread?
It's the best. It's crazy
what is
bread.
The seasoning they put on that?
It's
and the
just
marinara,
butter and Parmesan and undercooked dough, bro. It is the best.
It's the undercooked that really sells it for
That's exactly what it does. It's
elite.
It's sticky, is what it is, and it's the best. Like, I think Pizza Hut breadsticks deserve some look into that conversation, but I think Crazy Bread might have it beat.
And here's the best part about that, SK, is that my Prius, this is one of the times when it was not starting, so I got like an extra 3 or 4 breadsticks in before I hit the road again, which was really nice. You know, it sometimes, most of the time it works against me, but in this particular situation, it really worked in my favor.
That's fantastic.
You really love to see it. So.
Oh, gosh, man. Well, thank you for joining us here at Malone's. And this is a great spot. They got these around the country. But here in Louisville, what a great setup we have. And listen, you are absolutely crushing it in the content space. Y'all have such a great group. Y'all's camaraderie. It's evident. Like, there's no faking y'all's relationship. I think it's very genuine how it comes across. Y'all are probably my favorite of the group. Of all the golf guys, and Charlie and I are getting into that space as well, so we definitely need to get on the golf course and do some content soon, but that's for another day. But I want to just talk a little bit about, you're kind of a professional golfer because you travel more to play golf every single week. Y'all put out weeks, episodes, you were saying every Thursday. I mean, dude, you have a professional travel grind. You have like a massage therapist, like physical therapist, mental coach, physical coach. Like, do you have all that? Or are you dialed in? Are you hurting all the time?
Clearly, I do not. I wish. I appreciate the kind words. We're having like, for me especially, and I know my guys too. It's the time of our lives, man. We're traveling the country and the world. You know, going to Scotland last year and playing golf with our friends. Like, it's 3 buddies that are just playing golf, and I think everybody can relate to that back home. You know, you work all week and hope to grab that early tee time on Saturday, and hopefully your wife and girlfriend lets you book it on Sunday too, but you can't always.
Look at Charlie, he's jonesing over here.
Yeah, I mean,
we just recapped the fact that we both have small children now, and the sales pitch, you've got to go even further and further. They're getting more and more elaborate for some of these golf trips.
You got to start lying too. I mean, that's you got to start dipping into that territory, which is no one wants that. I mean, we don't want to do it, but we gotta have some release. But no, I mean, what's great for us is, I tell people it's the easiest job I've ever had. You know, I just get to be myself. You know, we're not actors. It would be pretty obvious if we were trying to do something that we weren't. And our rounds together, Joe, Bob, and I, off camera are exactly the same nonsense conversation, cart dialogue. It's all the same thing that we do off camera, and we just get to turn the camera on and be ourselves and do it again. And fortunately, people have enjoyed it, and it's allowed us to have just a lot of fun. I I don't know. It's hard to imagine doing anything better than what I'm doing right now.
We're here obviously for the PGA Championship, and two of the guys in the field this week are trying their hand at this, right?
Yeah.
Bryson DeChambeau doing a ton of content, Akshay Bhatia. There might even be others that I don't know about. I mean, how unique is it for you all to live in a world where, you know, a good has a Callaway club deal and branded equipment, and you all are, you know, putting out videos every week that are doing just huge numbers, more so than maybe even viewing audiences that are you know, PGA Tour events are getting? I mean, is it interesting to kind of live in a world like that, given where this thing started for you all?
Yeah, it's kind of a new frontier, so it's hard to, like, you know, I think if it's a sitcom on like a network television show, like you have like barometers, you have a bar, performance, history, you know, there's a lot that you can kind of compare yourself with. And this is, you know, we don't know what the ceiling is. You know, we feel like, you know, it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger on every different level. You know, the brands that we work with, we're with Callaway as well. You know, we started our own apparel line. We just released a canned tequila cocktail called Have a Day. So, I mean,
that's right.
There's just these things that, you know, guests, you know, and it's just crazy that the DMs are changing. Like, everything just is getting a little bit different. And I don't really know what that means. I mean, we got to keep doing what we're doing. And I think the best part is we don't really know anything else. I mean, we're three guys that are just ridiculous that have probably had to apologize for the way we've been most of our lives. And so yeah, it's a very surreal thing. There's moments where you're somewhere and you're looking around and you're just like, holy, like, is everyone tricked right now? Like, this doesn't make any sense. But you know, we're just as long as just be myself. I really, there's nothing else I can do.
Yeah. And I was with you briefly at the merch tent and Waste Management. Joel Damon and I were filming some content for Waste Management, which actually turned out hilarious. Joel's the best.
Yeah.
Which we need to get Joel on the pod too pretty soon. But we were standing there, Joel, myself, you, Robbie, Joey, and we're all just hanging there. And I'm telling you, it's like the Beatles were there. I'm telling you. And even I saw y'all at the Masters, and you'll have like this crowd following you guys. And I mean, just talk about the fame, man. Like, is that something you've gotten used to yet? Just being somewhere and people just want to take pictures with you. They want to talk to you. They just want to get to know who you are because they feel like they know you.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's very surreal. I appreciate those interactions because it means we're doing something right, and I appreciate like the love and the support. You know, that's really what I feel in those moments when people come up and say, you know, I love what you do, or wearing a Have a Day hat, whatever it may be. I don't personally try, like, I didn't start doing this. I don't even know why I started doing this. I don't know how I started doing this, but I'm here. But it certainly wasn't for fame. You know, I wasn't like, I want to be famous. I want to be a celebrity. That part is just, I still don't think it's true. I think we're just, you know, we're hanging out in people's living rooms with them. You know, we're, you know, I feel like people, because we open ourselves up on YouTube and on social media, kind of sun up to sundown of our lives, people know a lot about us. And so they, you know, when you run into these people, they feel like they know you. And I think that's, you know, I love that they feel that way. I want to spend as much time with every person that I can. And I think that openness that we have is the reason that people feel such a connection to us.
I don't know if you're familiar with SB 2K16, but we kind of got this content creation thing started. We didn't even know we were content creators. So I feel like we opened the doors for you guys so you guys could run with this
royalties,
thing.
A lot of royalties.
I mean, I remember that as a golf fan, and it was sort of like...
Did you watch the Snapchats?
Oh, yeah. That was cool shit. It was sort of like, I don't know, I can't really remember like a big peek behind the curtain of like tour pro life, like off camera. Like, to me, that, at least... You know, at whatever 35 I am, that's the first time I remember being like,
oh, these guys drink.
Holy shit. Like, no, these guys are like, they're like getting after it. Like, and they don't, it's not like golf isn't just work for these guys only. Like, they got the boys together. They went down to the Bahamas, and they're just getting after it, bro. Like no clothes, just the golf cart stuff hanging off the cart. I was like, okay, these guys are like
an ad-free,
super cool, yeah. And it's like,
ad-free.
Damn, they should be making some money off of this. Idiots.
It turned out that was my tryout for NBC. As I would take a salt shaker, I would take a coconut, and that would be my mic because I was commentating on all the guys in the group.
That's
little
hilarious.
did I know that was my future career.
That's hilarious. Got you a Natty Light deal too.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
So I think Jordan and Ricky, I think a lot of those guys are still benefiting from that little kind of peek behind the camera. That's when people talk to me about, YouTube and the tour and, what can each party kind of learn from each other. I think that personality, like, when you guys are out on the course, you're working. Yeah. Right, you're not. It is an entertainment thing on TV, but you're not entertainers. This isn't wrestling. Yeah. Right, you guys. But you know what? Some guys feel that responsibility, and other guys are just trying to play the best that they can. And like a Jordan or a John, that can be a little more vocal. So you feel like you get to know them, and then you got like Patrick Cantlay, and even Xander, who's a funny dude, but when he's playing, he's not talking. He's not any emotion. Because he's working. So, like, I think that thing that you guys did, it just sort of was a peek behind the curtain. And I think that's really how you're going to... I don't think they're really fans of tour. I don't think they're, like, live fans and, like, PGA Tour fans. I think that there are fans of players that play on the tours. So the more that you can, like, build up those people and personalities off the golf course when they're actually making money... That's what's really going to bring eyeballs and like investment from audiences, in my opinion.
So Valhalla is the site of perhaps the most iconic putt walk-in celebration of all time. The Tiger Woods 2000 against Bob May, pointing at it and running into the hole. You have a pretty iconic putt walk-in celebration, the Euro step.
Sure.
Here's what I want to know. Of all the players in the field this week, like who would you like to see adopt the Euro step most?
I'll be honest with you, man. If I saw it, I don't care who did it, man. That would be like a wild
mama
thing
made
for
it.
me, man.
Like, that's your mama made it.
That would be a wild moment for me. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's sort of like beggars can't be choosers on that one. But
who would be most likely to do it? Maybe then.
Oh man. I think it's probably the guys we've like done stuff with.
Okay.
I don't know. I look at some of them though that they're not going to like get into that. I think like I would say maybe Joel.
That was who I thought you were going to say. I thought you were going to say Joel.
He's the most likely to do something like that. Where like I might Max and Keegan and all these guys that we are close with. I just don't see them breaking it out. Like, I just, they're very
Max is stalwart out there, yeah.
Yeah, he's very serious out there. Very much so. So I just don't see it happening.
Get Keegan a match play. He'll look you in the eyes and I'm going to kill you.
Yeah.
Like if you're playing him. He gets match play mode.
I tell you who I'd love to see do it because it run counter to his whole golf robot personality. Ludwig hitting the Euro.
That would be wild.
That'd be hilarious.
He's
right?
become like more likable with like his smiling at the Masters.
Great sense of humor.
Yeah.
That dry Scandinavian sense of humor. Wouldn't put it past him.
So FP, the guys that y'all have done work with, you're a great player yourself. Of all the guys that you've played with, who's been the one guy that's impressed you the most that you're like, man, what he's able to do is just like unfathomable?
Yeah. Our first video match with Hulme, with Max, was...
Yeah, what did he shoot?
He lipped out a 12-footer on 18 and shot 60.
Wow.
He made 12 birdies.
Wow.
And I think if he had that putt 40 more times, he'd make the next 39 of them. Like, it was... That was the best golf I've ever seen in person, because he just didn't miss, and every putt he made every putt. I think I can only think of that putt and then a putt on one from like 30 feet that he nudged the hole on. Every other putt he just hooped from everywhere, and it was just like, this is this is wild.
It's a desert track too, right?
It was, we were true north. Like, it wasn't, it was
that's where you
overseeded, car path only. Like, he didn't care. Like, that's the best round of golf I've ever seen in person. I would say, like, impressive, like, play and, like, the way someone hits a golf ball. We filmed with Rom ahead of the Players 2 years ago, and seeing the way that he swings at it, the sound that it makes, everything, that was like, whoa. Like, all right, I see why this guy's the best player in the world. That's different. And then Xander, probably the same. Just a beautiful golf swing. Just perfect angles. Ball comes out straight. You know, he can work it both ways. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we've played with anyone where I was like, this guy's on tour. Like, you know, there's a reason these guys are here. It's sick. It really is.
What's kind of wild to me about that is, I mean, not very recently, you were one of 16 guys that could have been playing, you know, alongside, maybe not that set of guys because it was, you know, an opposite field event, but you had a chance to qualify for a PGA Tour event. I mean, what was that? What was the process like of mentally getting ready for that, and you know, how do you prepare? Do you try to play? Do you try to play cool and just relax and not worry about it, or do you really kind of go to the range and get ready? Like, what was that whole experience like?
Yeah. Well, I shot 81, so whatever I did, I should have done something else. Yeah, that was a really unique opportunity. Like, I remember getting the phone call about it. My first instinct was like, what a great idea this is. Like, opposite of field event, first year tour stop. Like, what a brilliant move by Myrtle Beach to, like, create a little bit of hype, a little bit of lead in, leverage our audiences. Like, it was smart. It was smart. It was smart, and like, it felt like it was a win-win. You know what I mean? Like, we could get some really good content, super cool opportunity from us as creators, but also, like, they're gonna get, like, a pretty cool, you know, jolt and an audience and look in on this thing. So, yeah, I'll never have a round that has so much at stake as that one. I was still living in Virginia at the time. This was like early March when this was filmed, so I was still in Virginia. It's cold.
Yes.
And so we did a film week in Myrtle Beach leading up to it. And so it was like a week leading in. Before that week getting down there, I didn't play for 3 weeks. So that was a mistake. Wow. I should have been doing anything, like something, or I should have just flown to Florida and just, like, worked on my game a little bit. So I didn't play my best. I didn't prepare to play my best. I would have had to play my best round of my life probably at that setup and against those guys to be in the mix.
Well, we have something in common, you and I. When there's one round on the line to potentially change the outcome of our entire professional history of what could be, we both shot 81s. 81 for you in the Myrtle Beach qualifier, 81 for me on Sunday at Augusta in the final pairing. So we have that going for us.
Yeah, it's a tough number.
Hang the banner.
Yeah,
many people
hang the banner. 81.
Yeah,
81's. It just doesn't sound good. It's not like a good number.
It's way better than 83.
It's definitely better than 83.
I would take an 84 over an 84. That just sounds better.
I feel like, you know what another bad one is 78.
Oh, yeah.
78 is it? That's just a lot of lines. You know what I mean? Like 77 is way more than a stroke better than 78.
Yeah.
If I'm 6 over par and somebody asked me, like, even when I was playing in college, I would never ever say, like, when the coach would come up and ask, say, how are you playing? I'm 4 or 5 over par. I'm not 6.
No.
Like, it's like, I think I'm 4 or 5. I'm never at that 78 number because that's like hey, buddy, you need to get your life in order.
Yeah. 78's not just like you shoot 80, 81, it's like, all right, like you just didn't have it today. Yeah. 78's like you didn't try hard enough.
Yeah.
Like you had it, you just didn't care.
You need to look yourself in the mirror.
81, it's like, hey man, you couldn't have done anything about that.
Your hands up.
So 78's just like, dude, you don't work hard enough, bro.
That's amazing. Well, I feel like we got to wrap this up with we need a pick for the week. I mean,
have you heard about our picks, by the way? We started doing these one and done picks.
No big deal.
Okay.
It started in Mexico, the Mexico Open. So there's been 12 events, and between the two of us, we have hit on a 50% rate on the picking
On
winners.
winners.
We are just
6 to 12
on
winners.
fire. Like between the two of us. So
This
like
is a one and done. So we
You got
couldn't use
you got
guys
a lot of
multiple
you got a
times.
lot of
I'm-
rich
I am-
listeners right now. I think.
I am second on the FedEx Cup with my picks. He's third on the FedEx Cup. And Scotty, that's how good
Scotty, of
Scotty's
course,
playing.
that's how good he's
Yeah, I mean, like of all the years to do it, yeah. So one of you guys picking Scotty every week? Like,
We've lost Scotty on our one and done. Just so
Oh.
you
Put together a
haven't
nice tribute
but
to
you
Scotty,
haven't
yeah.
burned Scotty. You could pick Scotty right now if you want to.
Yes, that's
Or
right.
you could be the smart guy and pick Jake Knapp in Mexico like Charlie did, or pick Steven Yeager in
Oh, my
Houston
God.
like I did. So are you going to pull a rabbit out of the hat on us? And
Man, I feel like I have to. I mean,
let's talk some ball.
If it was like not that lead up and it was just like pick gun to your head, I mean, Rory is like the clear obvious choice for me.
Yeah.
He won last week. He's clearly playing well. This is a big ballpark that it values distance off the tee and accuracy, two things that he has, and he won here. Like he won the PGA here last time, so it's like. That would be like the oh yeah Perez, like good one pick. But if I had to just like snag someone,
So not taking Rory, but he did a really good job of picking Rory.
This is why he's already
you're
a
really
pro
good at this because
prognosticator.
we end up listing
Hedge
5
him.
guys,
Yeah.
but then we end up picking one.
That's right.
So like, you know what? We were on to him.
Yeah, we said his name.
Rory's 1B, 1A. Let's go. I'm gonna go like dark horse.
Love this.
Wow.
I'm gonna go dark horse. I'm gonna go Sahith. The Gala.
Love this.
Love that. We just have him on the pod. And honestly, I thought this was like a lead into, we had the Dude Perfect guys on in Augusta. And hilariously, one of the guys picked Jason Day. And it was just like nobody saw it coming.
That's
and we're
fun.
like, hell yeah, man.
That's
Like,
fun, bro.
And it took us by surprise. But Sahith is actually a great pick. If you go look at his stats, you go look at his results in the last 3 years, it's a great pick. I think this could be a potential clip, and honestly, we'll cut off the if Rory happens to win, we'll cut that for
I
you
didn't
too.
say that.
We'll cut
it.
that for you
Prove
too.
It. Prove it.
We can make anybody say anything with some good editing. You know
He's
what I mean?
played
It's the
so
magic
well
of
in majors
podcasts.
recently, and I think his
Yeah.
game is just. He's got that cut, like that go-to cut, and he's got a hot
that.
putter sometimes. I think he's got a shot.
Love it. Well, Perez, it's been fantastic having you on. Really appreciate you
Awesome,
coming here to
boys.
Malone's and joining us. And yeah, maybe tee it tomorrow.
Why not? Yeah, screw.
is that
Let's
Have you
do
heard? Have you heard about my game? Where I'm at,
it. You breaking 80?
dude? I'm telling you, like I barely shoot in the 70s now. Like I either shoot 81 or I shoot 64.
Vestavia is tough. I mean, that's
Vestavia is not hard.
It's not hard. It's not that hard.
No, seriously, I'm either turning pro again or I'm throwing my clubs away. So hopefully, I would love to have a round soon where I have 17 pars and a birdie and just a no bogey clean round in play all day, a classic FP round.
Yeah, I don't have a whole lot of fireworks one way or the other. It's boring golf sometimes. That's why I had to do a Euro step. I had to put a little something into the mix.
I'll tell you what, guys. I'll take one for the team. I'll shoot the 81 tomorrow.
Yeah, there you
so
go.
that
There you
one's
go.
on me, guys.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yeah. There you have it. Fat Perez live from Ball Hall. And coming up next, our one and done picks.
T-Mobile is everywhere this week, fans at home and on the course. Be sure to watch your favorite players get ready for the PGA Championship like never before at the T5G range. Charlie, that was my best Ernie Johnson impression. I feel like we're on NBA on TNT. I mean, that was out of 10.
I don't know, for everyone watching on YouTube, I wasn't laughing like in a mocking. Like I was genuinely tickled by. You just flip the switch, and all of a sudden, like, I'm Kenny the Jet Smith, and I'm looking over, and there's Ernie, and we're in the studio, and you're just nailing T-Mobile reads.
Okay, but
You're a machine, dude.
I do want to talk about the range, though. From what I understand, the technology that they have on the
Okay.
range, and you're a big technology guy, you're a big tinkerer.
Huge tech guy, huge
There
tinkerer.
is more numbers and more data than ever seen before on a range for the viewer to be able to see what all these guys are doing, which I always want to know what they're doing as far as ball speed and what they're working on. So that's cool. Tune into that.
Courtesy of T-Mobile, right?
Yep, you got it.
Big magenta vibes this week. Huge magenta vibes this week.
Oh, yeah.
Just loving it.
Absolutely.
Okay, so we're off to a great start thus far. We had a nice meaty discussion about the big pre-tournament favorites, Scottie, Rory, Brooks. Had an awesome interview with Fat Perez. Super cool to touch on a number of
It
topics.
was great.
Now, this is the sort of the nitty gritty. We're digging deep on this episode because we got to do a couple things. We got to run through a few more names. We got to make our one and done picks, and if we have time for it, maybe throw together a little DFS lineup together. Maybe instead of drafting separate lineups, maybe we draft a combined DFS lineup together. A little something like that. Let's put
Can we meet in the middle on this though? I know where our heads go is that you always end up with Scottie in your lineup, and then we're donezo for the rest of the lineup. So
that's good. I'll let you make the first draft choice. Really and truly, this is for my own league, so I just need you to help me. That's basically what's happening here.
Well, I think, Charlie, we've already touched on Scottie Scheffler, Rory McIlroy, and Brooks Koepka, and I think the next part of the conversation is, of the guys we haven't talked about, who is on the board that, first off, any of the guys between 4 and 20 on the odds board can win this week. Looking at who they are, their resumes, the type of quality of golfer they are. That's why in this PGA Championship, on this golf course, in this setup, I think you can find some serious value. And I think, and I don't want to give away my one and done pick because I'm not quite there on who I'm settled in on. But I think there's a bit of a live tax still going on these boards, and I just don't see, and it's changed a little bit with Ludwig Oberg. He's gone from kind of in that plus 1,600 range to plus 1,800, withdrawing from Quail Hollow with the knee injury. But Jon Rahm, this is a guy that was in the conversation with Scottie Scheffler and Rory McIlroy as the best players in the world. He goes to LIV, has top 10 every single week on the LIV Golf Tour, has yet to win on the LIV Golf Tour, I will say. So maybe that's why there's a bit of hesitancy of where the lines are at. But I don't see how there's not value on Jon Rahm at plus 1,800.
It's very, very strange to me. That one is... And I don't know if it's just that he hasn't gone out in boat race fields at LIV and notched a win yet, and maybe that's what people wanted to see. I think I said on this show, I was like, I think he's going to win half of his starts on LIV next year.
That was aggressive. That was so aggressive.
That was a little aggressive.
I was letting you go on that, just letting your wings flap.
It's just put out the good tape, and if it turns into a bad prediction,
we can laugh about it.
I'm the producer. I can erase all this stuff I want to. So, but I think maybe it's a little bit of that. But it was the odds have moved a little bit. I know Rahm and Oberg were aligned at one point. Now Ludwig's dropped a little bit of maybe injury concerns, but that is definitely a shocker to me. You would just think that a guy like that, would be a little bit shorter. But he's got longer odds than Xander, who is in great form on the PGA Tour. I want to talk about Rahm. I want to talk about Xander. I want to just detour a little bit because there are just two names that you and I have both talked about on this show before as liking here, and both of them slid down the odds board. And so Ludwig we mentioned at 20-1, and you talked about really liking Wyndham here at 40-1. You talked about liking Wyndham in general, but he's at 40-1 now, and I'm just wondering, after a meh performance at the Wells Fargo, where are we at on Wyndham and Ludwig in your opinion?
It's definitely a little concerning that he didn't play that well at Wells Fargo, because we're going to continue to parallel Quail Hollow and Valhalla as pretty similar course types. So you don't like to see that, but from talking to some of the players about the golf course last week, apparently it was as bad of any event that they've ever played with wind switches. Just all of a sudden it's one way, and next thing it's the other way. So was maybe Wyndham on the wrong side of some of that? I don't know. It's definitely concerning to not see him kind of be in contention, or just kind of similar to Max Homa, where he's in that top 10 range. It's he's not going to win, but you feel positive about where his game is at and that he can go and win the next week. Wyndham, I'm not sure where he finished up. I probably should know that, but I know it wasn't a great week.
Yeah,
but
it was far enough down the board. I had him. I played him in numerous formats. Far enough down the board that even I checked out. So it wasn't great. Yeah.
And similar with Will Zalatoris, he shot somewhere around 80 on.
Shot 80 on Sunday.
So that to me is he's a course fit here, and so I think you gotta come in here.
55-1.
You gotta come in here with a little bit of form, but I'm not. I've seen too much good from Wyndham Clark to not say that he's not going to contend in a major championship this year. I mean, just look at his results, man. Like winning a shortened PG or Pebble golf tournament and
on a wet course,
a lip out away from potentially winning the Players. Had the Bay Hill another great week, finishing second on a golf course in which he didn't even feel like was a course fit for him.
Yeah.
And winning the U.S. Open the year before. I mean, the guy is just a big game hunter. I feel like he's the Brooks Koepka type of the PGA now. I would eliminate the form. Wyndham Clark's going to be in contention this week. I just have a hard time believing that guy's not going to be near the top of the leaderboard.
Well, and let's get back then to
great value.
Well, do we want to talk Ludwig a little bit before we get back to? I'd love to go Xander Rahm, but I mean, thoughts on because here's what I'm trying to figure out is why did Ludwig withdraw from the Wells Fargo? Because
knee.
Well, I mean, I know that literally, but I want to know the nitty gritty of what was happening there with that knee. Like, is this a situation where you played a lot of golf and you're just kind of a little bit tired, and you're having a nagging injury, and you're like, hey, I don't want to keep overexerting myself and then come into a major and not have my best up, or is this like there's some sort of an acute issue that we had no choice? Because you'd think that even if you needed some time to rest for a major championship, you would not withdraw from the signature event with a massive purse, right?
Yeah, well, he has played well enough to not have to worry about that, winning RSM, so he doesn't have to necessarily play so well to secure status. He's in a great place. He can plan, his schedule around the major championships if he wants to. He's a top 10 player in the world.
Just think. I mean, not to interrupt, but just think about the absurdity of that statement.
Second major championship. It's a second major.
All he has to do is focus on the majors. I mean, that's how good
Seriously,
he is.
that's where
I love him this week, but the knee's throwing me a little bit.
I think I like him on this golf course, but the knee thing is a little concerning, but I think it's just standard protocol. Anytime you have an injury, it can lead to swing problems, and something that I deal with it with my wrist. I withdrew from the Wells Fargo my rookie year after playing well at the Masters in the weeks before, and it led me down swing pass because of the injuries. So it's smart as a young player, get healthy, show up to the majors ready. He's got a great team around him. I love Joe Scovern on his bag. Love his personality, and hey, I think beware of the injured golfer type of thing. It's like, that's I think a lot of guys might stay away from Ludwig just because of that, but I don't know. He's not somebody that's jumping off the screen for me. I think if he would have played last week and played well, I'd be like all over it.
Well, it's tough to make sense of some of these guys. Like, you've listed 3 names now where, based on last week, either not playing for a reason or playing poorly, that we're kind of out on it. And Wyndham, Willie Z, and Ludwig. But it's are we overlooking are those guys actually good value plays for that reason? I don't know. One guy that came close last week that we have to talk about is like Xander. Like, where are we at on Xander? We talked a little bit in our Monday episode about Xander, but I mean it's wild to me to look at Xander Schauffele at even odds with the reigning champ here, Brooks Koepka, at 14-1. That just seems really short for a guy that just seems to struggle in these spots.
You need to look yourself in the mirror if you're taking Xander Schauffele at 14-1, because
you're sick.
And this isn't a knock against Xander Schauffele.
I've already said I'd draft him as my member guest partner if I could pick any PGA Tour player.
Why don't we just settle in and take Xander Schauffele at top 20s minus 150, top 10 plus 135. Lock that in, because that's where it's a safe bet with Xander Schauffele. How can you bet on a guy that hasn't won since the Scottish Open in 2022? Now, this is a bit ironic, as we are probably both would have picked Rory McIlroy this week if we were able to pick him. Are you able to pick Rory?
I still got a Rory card.
He's still got a Rory card he can play. But and Rory hasn't won since the major and whatever. But I don't think there's any value there with Xander. He's playing really well. Maybe that's a matchup type of thing you can play with Xander.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I see more value in the course fit here with, like, and also I need to look myself in the mirror, because what I'm about to say completely contradicts everything I just said about Xander Schauffele, which is you know where I'm going. I'm going to Cam Young. I'm going to die on this hill that Cam Young is going to win a major championship before he wins his first PGA Tour event.
40-1.
40-1. I mean, that is
good value there.
No, actually, it's not even great value because Cam Young has yet to win anywhere. So why is he 40-1? Because yeah, he's that good. He hits it that well. This is a great course fit. Look at his results this year. The top 10s are there. The quality of play is there. He's going to randomly win a major championship before he wins before he wins a PGA Tour event. I'm going to die on that hill, and that's why I'm going to give you that advice of, yes, tell me I'm dumb. It's wrong. Cam Young's probably not going to win this week. He may not ever win because that's the trajectory that we're on right now. He might top 10 in every week he ever plays, but as we stand right now, I like Cam Young this week a lot. A lot.
Cam Young, try Spider. I don't know. It seems to work for some other people. Maybe try that. I'd say that there are, if we're leading into the one and done picks here, there are probably just two more names. We will have other names as we do our DFS lineup, but there are two more names we probably need to discuss.
I know what you're going to say.
If we're going to talk about one and done picks, and I'm looking at them right now, Bryson and Max.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Cam Smith. You love Cam Smith.
Cam Smith? I mean,
I can't believe you didn't talk about.
Well, you know
that's your boy.
I'm always going to the Cam Smith well. Do you like Cam here this week?
Yeah, he's a great putter and a great iron player. If he just drives it above average, I love Cam Smith this week.
Man, that's interesting. That's intriguing because to me it just didn't feel like the right sort of fit as a guy who isn't insanely long. You know, and the putting, of course, is great, but if it's going to be a game of guys who are going to need to be long and need to be good with their long irons, I mean, to me, my whole vibe on Cam is get me to a place where has a good track record in the past, like the Masters, and a place where the short game is going to be super helpful. And I don't feel like the profile this week unless I'm missing something.
If he drives it relatively well, I think he's going to be right there. He's too good of an iron player and too good of a putter, and his up and down ability is incredible.
It's unbelievable.
And it's not a golf course that you have to be just unbelievable from around the greens like a Memorial where the bunkers are shaped like this, or there's tons of slope like a Muirfield Village. So I like Cam Smith, but you mentioned Bryson and Max, and I'll just touch on that real quick.
Yes.
Bryson's a great course fit, drives it well. I'm a little concerned about his iron game. Playing off Zoysia. If you've ever played off Zoysia, it's a surface in which you can kind of get spinny shots and you can get the flyers. And watching Bryson at the Masters this year, because of how far and how hard he compresses shots, I'm a little concerned of his ability to control hitting it pin high. And that's a really good point. And I that's my biggest concern with Bryson this week is just his. If he could just play 3/4 shots all week, I would love Bryson this week. But
is he helped by softer conditions where he doesn't get as penalized for a bad yardage or hitting it too full?
Well, the up and downs aren't as penal. The up and downs aren't going to be as penal. He chipped it pretty poor on the weekend at Augusta, but he got himself in contention earlier. He's a putter, probably a top 10 putter in the world. So you combine his driving ability with his putting. That's a player that you can't ignore this week. And Max Homa, just to finish, great iron player, has the mental game, got himself in contention at Augusta, has the formula for the majors. I think talking to him, coming off a win at the Nedbank at South Africa, you get that sense of that the majors aren't as important to him as they used to be. The pressure that he used to put on himself, I feel like it's behind him now. I know that we've just talked about however many names. I wish we could probably list more cons about guys for people that are listening and be like, well, y'all didn't help us out. You just told us what you like about all these guys. Yes, that is probably what we just did. And that's why we end up liking 30 guys before the week. And there's a way to separate a little bit of these guys, but I think when you build these lineups, you just got to settle in on a couple of these guys, and then you can find profile fix in the back. You know what I mean?
Well, and I think a lot of it this week is going to be I really don't like betting outrights at all this week because Scottie Scheffler's in the field, and I don't like betting Scottie Scheffler because he's plus 375.
I think there's value.
I think there's value, but I think there's a lot of value in top 5 and top 10 plays, and that's kind of maybe what I'll try to kind of put together in looking at these lists of names. But Smylie, we have covered a lot of big names, and that does lead us to part of the show that we are now 6 of our last 12. We're batting 500. That doesn't just get us in the Hall of Fame. That gets us like GOAT status. And we got to keep it going here. So it's time for our PGA Championship one and done picks presented by T-Mobile. And I'm channeling all the magenta vibes available for this pick because I'm going to need them here. I went.
It's your pick first?
I'm picking first.
Because I took Rory at Wells Fargo last week first.
I'm picking first this week.
All right, who you got?
This is a tough one because it's a major, so you want to try to use a live guy. So there are names I'm looking at there. And there's a lot of kind of uncertainty around certain names. But I went on Sports Grid the day after the Masters before I drove home in my 2014 Prius that decided to start for the first time on that day, which was excellent. And I committed to a guy who I said was going to win the PGA Championship. And I got to ride with him because I don't want to miss the bus when this guy does win a major. I'm rocking with Ludwig.
You're going to ride the injury thing. It's a great pick. Ludwig is a star. I mean, just second major ever, and he's top 6 on the odds board.
He just looked so cool, calm, and collected at the Masters. A brilliant iron player, which he's going to need this week.
Hits it up.
Definitely long enough. I just feel like this is a guy that, it's tough, and that's why I'm so intrigued by what the knee situation is, because I want to unpack it a little more.
You were trying to get me to confirm something.
Give me some nuggets. But I just really do think that, there are some big names, there are some heavyweights in this field, and Scottie Scheffler, look, we burned all our Scottie Scheffler usages, otherwise we might be using him here. But if we can't take Scottie, I think this could be it for Ludwig. I really do think it. I think this is a good course fit for him.
All right, good pick. Well, it was nice for me to see the light last week with Rory McIlroy. And if it were me right now and I could pick Rory McIlroy again, I would. So just like Fat Perez when he came on here earlier and said, you know what, I love Rory McIlroy, but that's 1B. That would be my pick, would be Rory this week if I could pick him. But the guy that I'm going to take a live guy. I'm going to burn that card. I kind of talked about it a minute ago. I just didn't want to lead you down that path so you could take him. I think Jon Rahm is going to get his first win of 2024. Whew. Jon Rahm is going to get his 3rd major title. Is that right? Winning
U.S. Open.
U.S. Open and the Masters.
Yeah.
He's going to get his 3rd major title.
I think away from a Grand Slam at that point.
Yeah. I think he's an elite driver of the golf ball. He's going to find himself in the fairway. And I love Jon Rahm with the putter in his hands. Guy I feel like listening to his interviews this week, it feels like he has a point to prove. And I think he's been a bit of annoyed of people just not realizing how good he's played. He's top 10 in every single week. And according to Justin Ray, another stat I'm going to use from him, follow him if you don't, he leads the LIV Golf Tour in birdie average. And a golf course that I predict that you need to get going early. You probably need to be on a pace of getting to that 16 under number. So we're trying to average at least 4 under par around. So you need a guy who's making 6 to 7 birdies around. Jon Rahm's been doing it on the LIV Golf Tour. I'm riding with Jon this week. 3rd major title. I feel really confident about it.
I don't hate the pick. If I was going to take a live guy, I think I'd ride with Brooks.
Yeah.
But let's see how. It would make sense. It's a guy that again, in similar fashion to Brooks, and maybe even more so, a lot of people aren't talking about him winning this thing, and that's the exact type of fuel that Jon Rahm uses to go out and
the odds don't make sense. He didn't have a great Masters. I think people just see, what have I seen from you lately? For the folks that haven't watched him play on LIV, I'm one of those people. I have not watched him play on LIV, but I can look at the stats. I can read about how he's played. I can see just how close he has been to winning. And the guy hasn't forgotten how to win. Let's not forget that. He's last year we were debating him whether it was Scottie, Rory, or Rahm, and I'm willing to kind of ride Jon Rahm this week, and it's just a matter of time before he wins a major championship again. And why not here at Valhalla?
Those are the one and done picks presented by T-Mobile. Now, let's build a DFS lineup. And I'm just gonna we're gonna do it's gonna be like a passing and off across. I'm just gonna slide the phone across the table.
Can we just let's just plug in. You can just do Rahm and Ludwig as our one and done guys, and work off that.
So let's see. So you're going Rahm first, and then we're gonna add Ludwig.
Yep.
And now,
okay, let's go down the board.
We're gonna have to go down to the bargain basement
because I think you and I both are on board with Akshay this week.
Okay, love that.
Let's get Akshay on board. He's won the junior PGA here back in 2016.
Wow.
I think is when it was.
Akshay's affordable.
Yeah, he's affordable.
Akshay's 7,200.
He's a great iron player, good putter.
That's a good shout.
Drives it well. We're locking him in. Why don't we lock in Fat Perez's pick with Sahith Theegala? Let's get him in on the board.
Okay, now I'm going to warn you here. We're going to get really low on budget here.
Okay.
We're now down to 6,400 a player.
Go get Denny McCarthy.
Okay.
Really?
Let's plug in Denny. Let's see what we have left.
A putter that puts really well on bent greens.
Denny's 6,300 right now. That's a really good value player.
We got Denny.
So we have 6,500 left. So let me just show you the territory we're in right now. Unless we want to make some lineup changes.
No, we're gonna do this. Is a one-time hitter.
One-time hitter. I love it.
Why don't we? I'm between three guys, and why don't we just debate this?
Okay.
I'm between Thomas Dietrich.
Okay.
Who's a guy that's had actually a very nice year.
Played great at the AT&T.
Hits it high up in the air. Was very close to winning in Houston. Taylor Moore, a player that nobody's talking about that just played really well at Quail Hollow.
I'm
top
a fan
50
of
player in the world.
Yep.
Or Jake Knapp.
Oh, don't tug at my heartstrings.
I'm a little worried about Jake's driving ability out here. I know he hits it far, but is he going to hit enough fairways? Of that group, I kind of want to go Taylor Moore. Does he fit?
You know what? That's perfect. Because look, emotionally, I want to take Jake Knapp. Go back to the well. He's been good for us before. This is his second major, I think. This will be right. He played in the Masters.
Taylor?
No, Jake Knapp.
Oh, Jake Knapp, yeah.
Played in the Masters via his win at Vedanta. I like Taylor. I still have a feeling about Taylor Moore.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's ride with Taylor.
Let's plug him in. So we had $300 remaining. So we went Ludwig, Akshay, Denny McCarthy, Taylor Moore, Jon Rahm, Sahith Theegala. That's kind of a banger of a lineup right there.
I think it hits everything. Akshay, he does everything well. He's a future star in this game. Denny's a great putter. Also been in good form. Played well at Quail Hollow last week. Taylor Moore, a guy that you really like. Played well Quail Hollow last week. Jon Rahm, top 10 machine. Sahith Theegala. I think that's our team, bro.
I think that's our team, and I think the best part about that was just that we just came to an immediate consensus on that, right out of the gate.
I think we're still in Augusta trying to figure out two lineups, so it was nice for us to roll through that.
That's a little live producing. That's a better workflow than the workflow we had before. All right, so there you have it. So just one more time for all the people out there, that lineup is Ludwig Oberg, Akshay Bhatia, Denny McCarthy, Taylor Moore, Jon Rahm, and Sahith Theegala. And that also gets you away from everyone playing the top heavy Scottie, Rory, Brooks lineups. That's a little something different. So that's the DFS lineup. Any other names or storylines you want to hit on the way out? I mean, I feel like here are the ones that I feel like are glaring that we missed are JT playing a home game, Jordan going for career Grand Slam, Taylor Gooch 80-1.
Yeah, and I'll add one more. Tiger Woods being in the field.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
I'll touch of some of those real quick. I think Jordan's been really interesting, almost like a case study this year, trying to figure out what's going on. In his interview this week, he really is positive about his game, and I think a lot of people are sounding the alarms. But what I'm really encouraged by is how well he's driven the golf ball. And what have we talked about in this, breaking down this golf course, is how important it is to drive it long and straight. His ball speeds are up, so I love that. He's going to be playing from the fairway. He's been off with his iron game and his short game. So if he finds what he's normally great at, which is iron game and chipping and putting. Why not Jordan Spieth just finding his way into contention? Justin Thomas.
Can I pitch you something on JT here? This is a little,
please,
and I'd like to hear it. So, JT has struggled putting all year long, right? So
it's been a hit or miss. Hit or miss.
But remember when I was early in the year freaking out about Scottie, you're like, hey, wait till he gets on a different surface, right? With JT, I wonder if a little bit of that home cookie of going back to a place where he's played a ton of golf and is familiar with the surfaces, like, is he done any favors just by getting to a place where he might be a little more comfortable on the greens?
It's just the problem. It's going to be such an uncomfortable start for him just to be able to play in Louisville with so much support. He wants to play well so bad. And I think this is the really encouraging thing, talking about Justin. His iron game has gotten much better. The greens and regulation stat isn't there, but it has improved, which is what you got to be able to do well for him, which is iron the golf ball well. But he talked about the mental side of the game and taking shot by shot. And I think in the last stretch of major championships, probably since Southern Hills, in which he played so well, he has not played well in majors. It's been really over par rounds, just uncharacteristic type of stuff for a guy that's built to play big ballparks. So it's easy for us to be, cautious about telling you that JT's going to have a great week. But part of me wants to believe. I believe in Justin Thomas's ability to play well. I think this golf course definitely, there should be some comfort in that he's played it so many times, and it's not crazy difficult. I don't think it's one that visually is crazy intimidating. I think if he gets into a rhythm early, finds himself on top of the leaderboard, playing in the morning on a Thursday, in which it's going to be soft, I think it's nice that he doesn't have to wait around. Let's just start the tournament. Let's go. I think that's important for JT, just to get going, see himself, shoot 3 or 4 under that first round.
Post a low number. Does Taylor Gooch make the cut?
Taylor Gooch makes the cut.
Oh, okay.
You taking miscut?
I'll take miscut.
Okay. What about Tiger? Making the cut?
I think Tiger makes the cut.
I do too.
Because it's the same thing as a Masters. Like he has very good golf in him in high leverage situations. It's just that it's really tough for him to do it for more than 3 days is kind of pushing it.
Yeah.
It's like 2 days we can get you 2 days. 3 days. That's why this dude is gonna light up the Champs Tour.
Yeah.
He's gonna be electric in a cart for 3 days on the Champs Tour. I think it's gonna be. I think this is gonna be a real inflection point for Tiger. And and obviously I say that with the most respect in the world. It's like we all, we know what he's going through with the body, but it's one of those things where it's like you keep having these sort of situations happen in these majors, and at a certain point you got to say what am I gaining out of this, or is it worth keeping trying to, or what do I change so that I can do a better job of contending? And I would love nothing more than to eat my words after this weekend. He goes out and strings 4 rounds together, finishes top 20, top 10, and Tiger's back. But I feel that I feel he makes the cut, and then he finishes near the bottom of the leaderboard after making the cut. Because it's just hard. It's just, he's gone through it, man. It's just been tough on his body.
I think we're just mentally. It's like we gotta see it. You gotta prove it to us that you're gonna be there on a Sunday. Because right now it's hard for him to see him being in the last 6 or 7 groups on Sunday. But if he is, it's great for TV. It's great for the game of golf. We all want to see Tiger play well and succeed.
Well, Smylie, 2 of us, Club Magenta, the next 3-4 days.
Yeah.
You're going to be out there tomorrow for Spilling the Tea.
Spilling the tea, baby.
It's going to be amazing. And then we're going to record our recap journals Thursday, Friday, Saturday from Club Magenta. So come hang out with us. Everyone can get in. Come charge your phone. Come grab some T-Mobile swag. We'll be there hanging out. Look forward to seeing you there as well. And that's all for us on this PGA Championship preview. So enjoy. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you. We'll go eat some steaks, and we'll talk to you soon.
Cheers.
I listen to this podcast. It's really cool. And
all of our Louisville fans and subscribers, but make sure you like and subscribe.
It's cool to see what you guys are doing. I know golf fans appreciate it, but we do too. So please keep it up.
For all the good people of YouTube, like and subscribe.
you guys have some good takes. So I'm happy to come on and shoot the